Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Fantasy Fiends podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Collier, and as you can tell, I look Mexican now because I just got back from the beach. I'm looking muy caliente, and I'm here with my co-host, Andy Peliquin, and we have the honor to have Parker Sinclair with us today, and she is the author of Eve of the Exceptionals. Wait, did I say that right? Eve of
Yes, you
Exceptionals?
did.
That's
Yes.
right. And is that the book we're going to be talking about today?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Nice. Um, so Andy, we don't have a commercial today, do we?
No, we have no commercial today. I was just thinking as we got into the podcast, I was like, people are so used to seeing your face at the beginning. I wonder if
Yeah.
they like that or not. We should set up a poll. Would you rather see Steve's face at the beginning of the podcast or not?
They
And see what
they probably want to see Parker's. They're probably tired of seeing some dude on here.
Yeah. Muy caliente.
Muy caliente. Actually, I was surprised that I knew that. I actually just started learning my fourth language, Italian, and I'm all into Italian now. Like, oh my God, it is so beautiful.
Oh,
So
fun.
yes, I can say io capisco un po' italiano, which means I understand a little bit Italian, which means I can understand that one sentence.
my question, Stevie, is what's her name? Who's the girl you're learning Italian for?
Exactly.
all of Mother Italy. I mean, have you been to Italy? It is like all Mother Italy. I mean, it is just filled with women. I remember, and then I'll shut up. We went into our hotel in Rome, and this Italian woman. So I'm 5'8". This Italian woman's probably 6 feet tall, and I was just like, "You are a goddess." And she was just so gorgeous, and this Italian accent, and I was like, man, I gotta learn Italian.
Oh, your inspiration. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was 23-year-old French major at the time. Well, not like, and I'll be 26 in Andy, when's my birthday?
Fuck if I know.
July 2nd. So
that's pretty soon.
Yeah, it's pretty soon. I'm gonna be an old man pretty soon.
Oh,
awesome.
geez.
We'll have to do something to celebrate it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we will. That'd be cool to do like a Stevie's birthday bash on air. Today, guys, we have an awesome video for you today, and I promise it is not about Italian or Spanish or my birthday. But first, like every week, I like to talk about something cool that happened to us this week. And again, I did not warn Parker about this, so I'll go ahead and start. I just got back from the beach, got a lot of reading done. I'm finishing up Ready Player One, which is, God, it's a work of art. I love it. I love it so much. So yeah, that's what happened with me. Just laid out on the beach a lot, and yeah, that's all I did. Did no writing. I felt bad.
That's totally okay. I've found that sometimes it's more important to not write. Like when I'm at home, or I'm at home, I'm always home, but in a normal week, I just do not work Sundays. I will bust ass Monday through Friday. I'll try to talk my wife into letting me do a couple hours on Saturday. So I've spent an entire Saturday, literally from 7 or 8 in the morning till 9 at night, writing or editing or whatever. But Sunday, I refuse to work just so that I have that day where I could just wind down and not be thinking. Because it's this constant pressure to create more and to do more, and it can be really draining on your brain. So you need that time to shut down and not do that.
Shoot, I don't work Saturday either, but I'd like to get like 1,000 words in on Saturday. Parker's like, do you just not work at all, Stevie?
Beach Saturday and Sunday, laying around, lobbing around, reading, getting your tan on.
That's
learning
exactly
Italian.
Learning Italian, yeah. That's. I do sound lazy now. Andy, you want to tell us your continued awesome news?
Right, yeah. So since the last week, I launched Darkblade Outcast, book 2 in the Hero Darkness series, and the book Darkblade Assassin, the first book, has just skyrocketed amazingly. It's sitting right now at 610 in the Kindle store, and it's been hanging out between 600 and 50 and 700 for the last weekend. It's just been amazing to see people reading it, people loving it, dropping reviews and stuff. I'm so excited for that response. It's so much better than anything I had anticipated. And in other news, we just heard back from the landlord on the house that we were super excited about. Yesterday, she emailed, said, we'd like to offer you the rental, and I locked it down. And today I locked down a car. So the move to Canada is coming along swimming.
Woo.
Man,
Awesome.
you go, girl. You go, girl. You're doing good. You're doing good out there. So while you're up there without the family, you're a single man. You're out of the country. You're 2 countries away from them, right? And yeah, you're a single man. You can do whatever you want. You could show your wife what house you are going to get, and then get whatever you want. It's not like when she gets there, you can change your mortgage.
What's funny is that what I want is usually to work more. Like on Saturday, my idea of a great day was to spend the morning editing Darkblade Savior, the book 6 in my series, and so that's how I want to spend my weekends. And of course, when my wife's here, I like going out with her and doing stuff. But because I'm here kind of by myself, I can get so much work done.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Parker, it's up to you now.
Gosh, you said, what do we do this weekend? I don't even know what day it is. I thought it was Thursday today. So I thought you were talking about what we're doing next weekend. It's so confusing right now.
Anything cool happened in the past week? Anything really you can talk about?
Yeah, last week I re-released the 3rd book in my ongoing urban fantasy series. And I just rebranded all those books. All of them have been given new covers. And then I've been re-releasing them. So I'm almost done. And then I can focus on new stuff. But I'm really excited about doing that. So that came out last Wednesday. It's been hard, but I wanted to do it. I knew it was going to be better for the series to sell. And the first one I give out free with newsletter signup. So it needed to be its best. And I haven't touched it since 2014. And I was like, I gotta get in there. So I got some good advice to change up the covers, and I got them all nicely branded. And now that they're re-releasing, everything's doing really well.
You were around during like the good times of Kindle, close to it, at least 2012 era. So I wonder was there a good wave back then of book sales?
I don't really think I knew much about what I was doing back then. I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. So I've been getting a better wave now, I think, because I've kept with it and been pretty tenacious. So now I'm finally getting, it's the Amazon checks and stuff, which is really cool when you get it from like Australia. Those are awesome deposits in your account from other countries and such. So I just really want to get started on some new stuff. So just finishing up, kind of doing some fresh eyes on that last book of that series, and then I'm gonna dive back into my sci-fi fantasy and my dark fantasy books.
Awesome.
That is what I'm doing now. Just writing new stuff. And so today's topic is the discussion topic title is oh Jesus, wrong email.
How the fantasy genre has grown up. And Parker suggested this topic. I loved it immediately. Basically, when fantasy started out, you look at the people who wrote fantasy, and it was middle-aged white men. You've got Robert E. Howard in his 20s and 30s. You've got J.R.R. Tolkien in his 30s and 40s. C.S. Lewis, David Gemmell, up until I would say the 70s or 80s even. It was all white guys writing fantasy, all middle-aged white guys.
Terry Brooks, yeah.
Yeah, and then you had a few authors like Marion Zimmer Bradley or the Dragonlance, Margaret Weiss, Anne McCaffrey, Dragon Riders of Pern. They started to sort of make waves. Mercedes Lackey, and that's sort of when
there it is.
Oh yeah, there you go. Which one is that?
That's the Dragonflight.
Okay, I think I read Dragon Drums. It's the only one of the Dragon Riders series that I've ever read.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really cool is that now fantasy is vastly different. I think the people who started the fantasy genre would never recognize it because it's so different from the way it was. You've got back Conan the Barbarian, this badass man. You've got Aragorn, the badass man. Everything revolved around these badass men, and now you've got badass women. You've got all these amazing characters diverse characters that make the genre so much broader and so much richer than it ever was.
And they're more than sidekicks or the scantily clad woman on the cover.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't think we had even a sparkle in the eye about urban fantasy. There's like all these subgenres that shot off. And I'm going to ask you too, would y'all consider Madeline L'Engle?
Oh, yes, I have it. Hold on.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, Madeline is one of the first ones. Yeah.
One of the first fantasy female authors. Is it Madeline L'Engle?
Madeline L. Ingle?
L. Ingle? My French is like trying to call it L'Engle, so I don't.
That has a lot of sci-fi in it. I just read it again with my daughter, getting ready for the movie to come out, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I had to read it as a freshman in high school, and I was the only one who read it. That and The Hobbit. So I had a really cool freshman year teacher. Gosh, she had a super hot daughter, like just sickening hot. And I was like, she was my age, and she didn't go to the private school because when I met her, I saw her at the mall, and I asked her, I'm like, why don't you go to the private school with us? She goes, because you're all a bunch of nerds. And I like deflated, and that was the end of that. And the teacher actually apologized to me the next day. But anyway, that's my tangent for the day.
I thought you were going to tell us you picked up another language because of her or something.
No way.
First foreign language.
Well, as people know, I started learning French just to pick up women, and then I fell in love with the French language. And you can't stick with something to pick up women with. Like you're gonna learn a whole new language because just for ladies. No, I fell in love with the language, and now it's like my Sudoku. It's like my puzzle doing part of the day. So, Andy, take it away from me before I take us completely off topic again.
Yeah, so I'm probably one of the hottest new books that I have heard endlessly about is Children of Blood and Bone or something like that. N.K. Jemisin. Is that who?
No, that's who.
Or Blood and Bone. Let me see. I'm gonna Google it because I can't remember the name exactly.
Tomi
Adeyemi. Yeah, this book is like everywhere, and what's cool about it is that sort of like that episode that we did about Afrofuturism, Afro fantasy. It's this West African inspired fantasy novel, so it's this totally different setting, this totally different culture in this world, and it's making a huge splash because it's so unique and so different. And then another one is the Poppy.
She's making a movie.
Yeah, exactly. This other book is called The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang or something, and it's based on it, or it's loosely based around the Japanese and Chinese opium wars of I believe it was the 1800s, and it's got this Japanese Chinese vibe to it, and it really draws on the culture and the history of these countries, and people are loving it because it's so different, such a fresh breath of air instead of the classic European fantasy that everyone's so used to.
And both writers are like, she is born in China, and then the writer before is Nigerian American. Like, I've been listening, talking to these people, these older men that write these books that are supposed to be based in like a futuristic Africa or something, and they've never even been to these places or have any affiliation to it. You're kind of like, wait, you never visited, and you're like 80, and you've written all these books. So it's this is nice that you're getting it from people that know the culture and are from the areas.
And I know a lot of authors will hesitate to write in these other cultures because they're afraid of people saying cultural appropriation, or like you just said, they have no experience. But so it's always better to hear straight from the people who know. But at the same time, being a white male, I would like to think that if I could explore these cultures through my writing, it would give me a better understanding of the people that I share my world with. And then it would help me to better, to communicate that with other people, and readers would have a better understanding, and it would be much more inclusive overall. So even if you're not from one of these countries, if you learn as much about them, the cultures and the religions and the people as you can, and you want to write them into your fantasy, do it.
Yeah, immerse yourself in it first. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are cool. I haven't heard of those too. I've got those on my list now.
I would think J.K. Rowling did a big switch for the fantasy genre.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in, old men writing fantasy, but just the way fantasy is going. Now we're behind the eyes of um, a nerdy school kid, going to like some modern school, which, I mean, could that have been like the birthing point for more urban fantasy?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's magical realism. You're in the real world. You've ingrained this magical place, but also with her, she didn't put her real first name that people didn't know. I don't think a lot of people knew at first that it was a woman.
Oh yeah, and we still have female authors who do that to this day. It's actually a tactic that you hear about in podcasts and marketing books and stuff.
People don't always know I'm a woman, so.
Oh yeah.
Well, they go on the website; they can tell.
Yeah. Well, Parker, yeah.
That is what is called an unconscious or subconscious bias. You expect that a romance author is going to be a woman, and when you find out that it's a male, it creates this sort of dissonance in your brain that subconsciously makes I don't like this because it's unfamiliar, and so women writing sci-fi and fantasy and men writing romance often have a harder time, which is why, for example, J.K. Rowling published her detective mystery series,
which I like,
under a male name, or
Robert Galbraith.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, exactly. And so it's sad, but at the same time, it's something that's really hard to change simply because of this unconscious or subconscious bias. We have been, for the last, let's say, 100 years of literature. Think about all of the stories that you read from the early 1900s or even the 1800s. Jane Austen, Emily Bronte, Charlotte Bronte, all of them, they were romance. And then you've got Alexander Dumas, who's action. Sure, there's romance in it, but it's action, it's fun, it's intrigue. And so we've, over the course of reading of fiction, we've sort of learned that men write action, women write romance. And so it's now people are getting over that mindset slowly but surely, where it's like, okay, there's this female author and she writes a badass character, like J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter wasn't such a badass, but he sort of set the stage for female authors really earning their place, or having this solid place. A really good example is Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if you've read her books.
Oh,
I haven't read all of them, but like her character is a total badass. And so when you read a Sarah J. Maas novel, you know what you're getting. And so she is another one of these people who sort of blazed the trail, so to speak, for women writing these action-driven badass stories. Just like I'm sure there are male authors who have proven that guys can write romance too. I don't read romance, so I couldn't give you any examples.
That you'll tell us about.
Yeah. Actually, isn't one of the most famous romance authors a man?
I only know Nicholas Sparks. That's the only male romance author I know. In fact, that's the only romance author I know.
Is John Green another one?
I've never.
I don't know. I've gone to a lot of romance events and signings. I have seen some men there, but it is primarily women for sure.
I would be afraid to write romance.
Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is one of the best known names in romance.
What? Dean Koontz, the horror author.
Mystery and horror.
Yeah, okay.
Dean Koontz. He's tossing them out there now.
I love Dean Koontz. I love Velocity. That's my favorite book by him.
I thought I've read a number of romance novels by him, or I've seen on my sister's bookshelf.
He does there's a book he does called Heartbreak, which has a fireman romance thing in it, but I'm sure a lot of people die in it. I don't know anything about the
fireman romance.
Fireman romance. Oh, and we're back to Harry Potter. When I read the first 5 Harry Potter books, and knowing that the author is female, sometimes whenever I'm, in Harry's head, I'm just like, how does she know this? How does she know guys act this way? And I'm subconsciously and consciously thinking this, like, yeah, but would this really happen? And I'm genuinely happy when I look, I think like, well, if this were me, yeah, I do that same thing. When he's trying to get with what's her name, Chloe, the Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like,
The
well,
French one. The French one.
is it the French one? I just yeah. And I'm
No,
just
the
like,
other girl there, the other girl that's at his school.
thought she's Asian in the movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So when I'm reading the book, I'm just like, well, would this really happen? I mean, because a female is writing this, and then, but I was always happy, like, yeah, I could definitely see that happening. So if anything, I'm an example of, yeah, guys are going to. I mean, at least some of them are going to be like, well, I don't know if this really happened. Just like a woman reading a female created character by a man, you know, it's like, well, he writes bad females, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Or you know, an LGBT character created by a cis male or a cis female. You know, it's like you don't have to have lived these experiences personally to be able to put yourself in the minds of these characters. Obviously, it takes tons of research to understand them, but I feel like getting to know these characters makes me understand the real life people in that I meet. At conventions and stuff, you meet transsexuals, cross dressers, you meet the whole range of alphabet soup, whatever
Whole
that long
smorgasbord.
Yeah,
LGBTQ. There's one more.
It's LGBTQIA plus question. Yeah, there's so many of them.
Wait, what is the Q?
Questioning.
Queer.
Is that like tense? Oh, questioning. I thought they were like
no. Q is queer, and then there's a question mark, which is for questioning.
Oh, I did the GSA. They all told me it was not.
Yeah.
What about pansexuals? And I don't. That's the only one I know. Pansexuals. I know there's a list.
It says and queer or questioning.
Okay, there you go.
We were both right. Woo-hoo!
Hooray!
Well, I wonder if JK had a lot of guy friends, or
maybe so.
You're right. She really is in the mind of it. I feel like that's how I did a couple first person point of views from a male point of view in my last book, and I had a lot of guy friends growing up, and I feel like I still gravitate towards hanging out with like the husbands and stuff when we hang out in groups and everything. So I wonder, and just like you were saying, you meet these different people at these conventions, or you meet them in your lifetime, and maybe you're not gay, or maybe you're not straight, or you're not a man, or not a woman, but you start taking in, as us as writers, I think this is how I kind of see us, is we're absorbing all these people and these personalities, these experiences. And I think we're also we must be empathetic type of people too. We can put ourselves in their shoes and kind of become these characters so that you can write as them. And I wonder all these people she must have experienced in her life to create. Of course, there's other people that live in the mountains and never go anywhere and create these amazing stories. So what am I talking
about? And we're aware. And I think a big thing is, as authors, we quickly realize that it's super important to be aware. So when we go through our daily lives, we're constantly taking in new material, or at least I do. And what I was going to say is I've written both a homosexual male character and a couple different female characters. And I know I'm biased, but I was like, it wasn't that hard. I didn't think too much about it. I didn't go overboard. The only thing I think about consciously when it comes to female characters is not making them so ditzy and, it's like they're just super crazy female stereotypes. I always go against that and make each person unique. So, but not tomboys either. I don't write tomboys. I write just women who are people. They have emotions.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, they're human.
People too.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how I write my female characters. They're people, and they're
that's a good start.
Yeah. Because I was really tripping myself out. Like, how the heck am I going to draw this princess? And she just turned out to be like this sassy little fireball. And you really kind of forget she's a girl until the main character and her have sex. It's well, yeah. Just besides, her name and the speech tags, she, and, that she was a princess or whatever. But I thought I did a good job. And somebody told me I wrote a good homosexual character, and it made me think, like, how did I know how to do that? Yeah. Is this a compliment or what?
Steve, he's a cute.
Oh man.
Now,
oh no, having children has opened my eyes to how people can do some crazy stuff. I'm like, now I can see why these people go crazy.
Yeah. You only have one kid?
Two girls.
2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
I have no kids, so, but I am extremely surprised by how many people I went to high school who now have 2 kids. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I know it. I'm not that I'm disappointed. I just feel like I'm late to the game. Like I should just hurry up and have some children. So,
oh yeah, a lot of mine had them way before me. I was like, oh boy, yeah. I know that feeling.
So, let's see. So we have
So we can talk about Terry Brooks a little bit. And anybody read Terry Brooks books? This is what I grew up reading. Well, this is when I first started to read it, but I think he really developed into having some stronger female characters than just the sideline characters. When he went into the Word and the Void series with Running with the Demon, has a main character who's starts as a young girl. I think that started to open my eyes. And then, like you said, J.K. Rowling. And then after that, I feel like the urban fantasy blew up. Kim Harrison was one of them. Robin McKinley does epic fantasy, but she got into paranormal and stuff too, and urban fantasy. So, I mean, I think a lot of these women that maybe we didn't even know about, who've been writing for a long time, got their shot and are out there now. Awesome.
Well, you know what's weird to think about is when I was growing up, I actually didn't read a whole lot of fantasy because that was the time when fantasy was actually hard to read, and I was a kid. So we had, the big ones, Lord of the Rings, we had the Dragonlance series. All of those were too hard for me to read. So I actually grew up reading a lot of horror. So I read tons of Goosebump books, lots of mystery. What are they? The Tom Hardy boys? What are they?
The Hardy Boys?
The Tom Hardy boys. The Hardy
Tom
Boys.
Hardy. Tom Hardy is hot.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
I would back up out of that.
Who is Tom Hardy? Why do I know?
Oh my God, who is Tom Hardy?
Hold on.
Oh,
I probably just looked him up
dude.
on Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he's gonna be Venom, so he'll be out as Venom, and
that's why I said Tom Hardy.
That and who doesn't want to say Tom Hardy? I'm sorry. You talk about women, so here we go.
He's a hunk of a man, I gotta tell you.
He's a hunk of a man. No, he's a real hero too. He chased some guy down that tried to steal, I think, somebody's bike or something, and kicked their asses. Yeah, he's no joke.
Really? Yeah, he looks like you don't want this guy chasing you.
I think Loki did something. No, or was it Doctor Strange?
Sherlock.
One of them.
Sherlock, yeah.
Sherlock just did something too.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
He Doctor Stranged it?
He Doctor Strange.
Yeah. If you read the comic books, Doctor Strange is he's kind of like a vigilante. Like if he sees something going down, he's gonna go solve it. But in the movies, I feel like he wouldn't. Like he's just so uppity. But in the books, he's kind of a player too. I don't know. I read the first one.
I'm seeing all of that when I look at him, but whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe he is. Maybe he is.
How do we get on Marvel? I don't know.
Oh yeah. So what I was saying is, when I was growing up, it was hard for me to read fantasy because these books were hard to read. The only thing I had that was fantasy was Harry Potter, and I didn't read those because I was so bent on horror. And it was only when my freshman year in high school is when I delved into the realm of high fantasy and became a huge nerd, a huge dweeb because of it, and that's when I discovered Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. So that's kind of weird to think that. Andy, what about you though? I mean, you're only like 5 years older than me. Was fantasy hard for you to read growing up?
The only fantasy that I could read growing up was the Chronicles of Narnia. And I loved that because it was so different.
Like he's rolling his eyes. Oh my God, I think he's gonna start.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize I was doing it, but I was.
He's like, oh. God,
I didn't read it because my religion teacher was pushing on me, and I'm like, I'm not reading any more Jesus books. I'm tired of them. When I leave school, I'm done with Jesus for the day because I've had him for 8 hours, Oh
my.
So I was like, no more Christian books. So again, when I was a freshman in high school, I read the Chronicles of Narnia. I was like, wow, this book is actually a work of art. I mean, it was still a little, it was at that point I was too old for it. But it was kind of cool to look down upon it and actually see all the symbolism and stuff like that. But yeah, when I was in middle school, I'm not reading that crap. Yeah, the lion is Jesus. I understand. I'm not reading it.
Madeline L. Engel has a lot of religion in hers too, actually. The science and religion together.
Man, I can't remember A Wrinkle in Time. I know I really enjoyed it though. I really enjoyed it.
It was, when I read it now, I was
Mhm.
like, I never read it before. Like, I was like, wow, like all the different physics and stuff that was in it. I was like, wow, this might be why I went into biology. This must be why I decided to go into science.
Oh, you're a bio person?
Biology major, psych minor, and then master's in psychology and counseling.
My brother is next semester going to get his bio degree, and then he's going on for the PhD program in paleontology. So,
Ooh.
yeah, it's just something completely random, but really cool. So he's actually helping me do research for my newest book, which has a lot of dinosaurs in it. So
Awesome.
yeah, so it's just crazy how much fantasy has evolved from Lord of the Rings and
Conan.
I mean, in the 90s, I didn't have anything to read because it was all hard. In fact, sci-fi was easier to read for me, you know, the Star Wars novels and stuff like that. I got the gist of those. So, but I was a big reader.
You ever read some Carl Sagan? Oh God, I couldn't do that. My dad had tons of those old sci-fi 70s and 80s. They're impossible to read.
Or Asimov. That guy.
Asimov, Isaac, I can't.
It's so intelligent. But it's too intelligent sometimes.
Have you read Patrick Rothfuss at all?
I haven't. I tried to read it and I couldn't get into it.
I love it, but he reminds me of those. It's just really in depth and highly intelligent, and you know we're still waiting for his third book. And good God, I don't think that's coming out. But
I put down books that are too, I want to say too smart, not because I'm dumb or anything, just because it takes away from the story. For me personally, it takes away from the story. And but some people just get it right. Like they have the perfect amount of science and the perfect amount of really good story. I haven't read The Martian, but that's how I would kind of picture it. You know,
I heard that's good. That's really good. I
Um,
can't watch Matt Damon, but I'll read the book.
You can't watch Matt Damon just because he plays Matt Damon in every movie. Isn't he a stud? I don't know.
He's not.
He's not.
I'm gonna have a lot of women disagreeing with me, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
I'm a Daniel Craig guy myself. Like that's my man crush. If I liked men, it'd be Daniel Craig.
It's a pretty badass Bond, I have to say.
Yeah, he's. I like his body because he's not like super ripped. He's just like a big dude with like semi ab definition. I don't know. I'm also really into fitness, so. All right, I'm gonna Andy. Please.
I can see why you wrote that character so well. I'm just kidding.
Andy.
Andy, take over.
Parker's being mean again.
Oh, it's funny.
It should be from. Oh, never mind. Okay, so we should probably get to the reading now, huh?
Definitely.
Okay. If there's any homosexual characters in this, thing, I could probably take care of that.
Am I reading this? Now I gotta put it on my other screen.
Is there any dialogue in it? Yeah, I see some. So what we do is you're the director, you tell us who you want to do the narrator and who you want to do certain characters.
Am I any of those, or are you all doing the reading?
We're all three doing it.
All three. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and it's all up to you. Director Sinclair.
All right. Stefan, would be nice if you would do that. Andy, I'm curious, Andy, if you can narrate.
Okay, sure.
And then Stefan has the first quote if you want to take that. Then there's a lot of narration, actually. Where am I? Oh, well, I can do the witch one, but that's kind of boring. I'll do the witches. There's a couple of them. Yep, I'll do them. That only gives you 2 lines, though.
Who, me?
Yes. Is that boring?
I can do the narration.
Yeah, Steve, you do the narration, and I'll do the 2 lines.
Okay. However you guys let me. Yeah, you do whatever.
I'll nail those 2 lines with gusto.
There you go, with gusto. Okay, are we ready, guys?
Who am I reading? What's the guy's name or the girl's name?
Stefan, but it actually does not say his name in this first quote, but that's him. That second paragraph.
Okay.
And then you get it again at the end. He's got a nice little sarcastic.
All right, got
whispering.
I hope I get these pronunciations correct. So feel free to correct me or I'll just move on. It's up to you. Okay. They slip through the shadows with only the quietest of breaths and footfalls. Both Rezin Ryzen and Jim.
Yep.
Jim. Both Risen and Jim have arrows notched into their bows, while the others have readied themselves with swords or the like. All except
Verset,
who walks calmly in the lead without a single weapon drawn.
What's he planning to do, Jem? Woo one of them with his charms and winning smile?
Finn is saying exactly what Jim has been thinking.
He appears as sound of mind as ever, though he hasn't said much since we left Seaball.
That may be true, but she trusts the Scion captain implicitly. He clearly has something up his sleeve. Once they enter the forest, they pair off and find thick trunks to hide behind, advancing swiftly from tree to tree and following Ryzen's hand signals in the direction of where he can see Sister Fakora on the map. Fakora on the map. Shakira.
Not Shakira.
Yeah.
Don't lie right now. Okay.
We'll be able to detect Sister Fakora on the map. Syra utters a low warning that the witch scouts will be able to detect them shortly, so they must be prepared. A deep growl escapes through Shaw's teeth, undoubtedly the wolf that lived among the sisters. Even for the short time when he was a pup, will pick up their scent before they are detected by anyone else. What begins as a small clattering becomes a deafening symphony of clicks, flutters, and crackles. Clouds of blackness with hints of abalone shells. Abalone shells, translucents, come down from the trees and bombard the team with a kaleidoscope of color. Hard-shelled angry beetles in all colors and sizes dive, scratch with craggy legs, and vigorously snap their jaws. Vigorously. I've been learning Italian. It's all messed up. Vigorously snap their jaws. Their numbers and tight grouping creates tiny dark tornadoes that encircle the group. Wings hit rapidly against their hard shells, adding a frenzied backdrop of sound to the flurry of confusion assailing them all. Arrow, Finn, and Shaw snap at the insects with sharp teeth, some insects turning immediately to black dust and others breaking into pieces as the canines crunch through their bodies. Syra unleashes a ball of magic that decimates their attackers, freeing himself, Stefan, and Jim before sending another toward Ewan and Ryzen. Rescuing them as well. Verset and his guards slash at the winged attackers with their mighty swords. Manin's small, deadly butterfly knives flip up and twirl, appearing to weave through the fingers as he chops even the bird-sized beetles to bits before they too turn into nothing but black dirt or scattered bits of shell. Nods pass around the group, signaling they are all okay. Jim looks at Stefan thoughtfully, having seen the swordsman use teeth as well as blade on the creatures in a spectacular, if not slightly nauseating fashion. Every once in a while, straggling bugs or the exoskeleton remains are flicked away, or the buzzing silence as it is devoured by one of the exceptional creatures in the team. Ryzen slips behind some thin trees to slide next to Jim. Ewan's noises of protest lost on the tortured prince's ear. He can't shake the worry of when it will happen. The vision is driving him mad, and Ewan can sense it. While the group continues to vigilantly scan the area, Ewan catches up to the prince and whispers urgently in his ear.
We need to deal with this before you get yourself killed, Prince Ryzen, which may in turn get us all slaughtered, including Jem. When we get through this wicked forest, you must unload your burden and get your head on straight.
Ryzen's eyes slide to Ewan's, surprised at the outburst from the normally quiet healer, but barely a second passes before a crackle rings out and three witches emerge from the trees, seemingly springing to life from rigid bark and all adorned in dark tree-like garb. Swirling whirlwinds of magic containing bits of earth, leaves, and dead forest animals combine into writhing things held between each witch's hands. They caress their evil intent into each cyclone with a sickly manner, waiting to strike the company down. The witch on the left lifts her vibrating creation to her face, breathing it in.
Paralyze them!
She shouts, and gusts of wind whip through the group. At first, all appears normal, but then, one by one, the team falls to the ground, convulsing and crying out in pain. Ryzen and Jim collapse, facing one another, both holding their heads while confusion and agony flicker across their faces. The witch's voice enters their minds while their screeching, paralyzing hiss continues as a background to her words.
You dare enter uninvited and readied for a fight with your weak infant magics, toothed and winged creatures, one of which betrayed us, and a freakish man-otter with his deadly blade that has tasted our souls. You shall all die here, bathing in your own blood, quivering as you beg for your meaningless lives.
The other two sisters lift their cyclones in preparation, but at that moment, Verset regains his footing and releases a bellowing yell into the dark woods. In a synchronized movement, the two witches still holding their powerful magics extinguish them, leaving nothing more than a small mist rising from where their deadly concoctions once were. The sister who began this confrontation screams,
"Get out of my head, you disgusting island dweller! How dare you assault us in our own home? You are trespassers here!"
But her rant is short-lived as her lips are forced to a close and her eyes go blank. She is no longer able to withstand the control. Verset has taken over her mind as well as those of her sisters. This is Verset's power. The team slowly stands, shaking the hell out of their minds and slowly grasping that the witches are at the mercy of their commander. His eyes are aglow in the darkness while the rest of him blends into shadow.
"Now, ladies,"
he orders, a mysterious power emanating from him, which seems to cause even the trees to shudder.
"You will take us to Sister Fakora. Don't even try to lead us astray. I will be able to tell even your slightest attempt to sabotage my group's mission, which, by the way, you should know has never been one of ill intent toward the sisters in any way. Now move, before I give you a taste of the same nastiness you unleashed upon us."
Like good soldiers, the witches turn in unison and lead the way. Verset, Mayneen, and Taldoc follow closely behind while the others finish brushing themselves off and giving one another a quick check before following. Ryzen hurries, catching up to Verset to assure the captain that they are on the correct path towards Fakora.
"Well, damn,"
Stefan whispers. Arrow, having taken a spot on his shoulder, huffs in agreement.
"If I'd known he had that much power, I would have kept my baby sheathed as well."
Very nice. That was a lot of fun. Sorry for all my mispronunciations. I had hell at some parts. Verset was hard though. Like seriously, that's a French word. Verset. Like I'm just like.
She did that on purpose to you. I wrote that. I knew this was going to happen. Yeah. Awesome. That was fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Have you done something like that before?
No, I just finally started taking auditions for audiobooks, and that was Eve is one of the ones, and then my first urban fantasy, and went through a couple interesting voiceover narrators. I was like, oh my gosh, but I finally have a great lady for Eve, and but she hasn't done that part yet, but she's done some of the characters that I've been super happy with. So but that's only one person. That was fun to do it with all of us together.
So you're actually gonna have a female audiobook actress.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. See, we could have talked about that as well, you know?
Yes, sorry. Duh.
Oh, man. So, I mean, because when I think audiobook, I feel like I'm always going to be hearing like a man, like the one who did, Andy, what is that book? The Blade and Law, the Blade itself. The First Law. That actor, oh man, he should have a, get an award for that. You should listen to it. All right. So, Parker Sinclair, where can people find you?
I am on Amazon, and I'm on my website, parkersinclair.net. But it has all my links to my social media. I'm on Instagram, Parker Sinclair Author. I'm on Twitter, Parker_Sinclair. Facebook, just author Parker Sinclair. You can find me everywhere. Goodreads. I have a YouTube also, which has some great trailers. All that links through my website as well. So yeah, all my books are on Amazon and Kindle.
Oh, that's
paperbacks
cool.
and Kindle. Yeah,
it's really cool. I should think about doing some book commercials, some book trailers, book commercials.
Trailers are pretty fun. I also like the little, just tiny little mini animated videos now. I really like those. Like I'll have the book cover, and then my artist will have like some stuff floating around the back or make the cover move a little bit. I think those are a really sick impression versus maybe the whole trailer type of thing. But I think people are getting so inundated with, I know video is supposed to be the way right now, but I think everybody's getting a little overboard. I feel like everything on Facebook is like a video. I'm like, I'm not going to watch every video.
That is true. That is true. I wonder how a Facebook ad of a book trailer would go. Who knows? Or maybe something short, like you said. Wow, that's actually really. You just gave me a great idea.
Yeah, I think the shorter stuff. Yeah.
I would. People's attention spans. Yes, definitely go with short.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Andy, anything else you want to talk about before I go ahead and end this?
I had a lot of fun.
Great topic.
That was awesome. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I enjoyed doing that. I like your guys' voices. Good job, Andy.
Thank you.
You didn't get to hear mine. I blow Andy's out of the water.
Oh, man, next time.
Yeah, I taught him everything he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I actually just got a Facebook message from a real cute girl, and I'm going to go answer that. So with that, everybody, I'm Steve.
Speak some Italian.
Yes. Oh, I should do that. I should do that. But see, the Italian language written is so weird. I'm just gonna send her a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and then she's gonna
one line.
She's gonna have to Google Translate, and it's gonna say the mouse is under the table.
The dog is old and moldy.
Oh, Parker Sinclair, it has been a pleasure having you on air, and I'd love to have you back on.
Awesome. Would love to come. Thanks, Stevie. Yes. Andy, it's awesome.
I know you're writing more now, so whenever you have a new release, please hit Andy up, and we will definitely get you back on air because this was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Parker, for being here. Guys, this has been another fantastic episode of the Fantasy Fiends podcast. Check us out this Thursday for another awesome episode. We love you all. We hope you have a great night. This is Stevie. Good night.